Welcome to Your Number Man, where we share financial strategies, business insights, and inspiring stories to help you navigate a successful business. I am your host, Johan, and my goal is to help you achieve a bigger life in business. Well, welcome again to Your Number Man. Now, today is just a little bit of a different take. Yes, I do have a guest in the studio, but she's obviously not a guest. She doesn't need any introduction. She was on the show a few times before. It's my very capable producer. Her name is Jenna, and she's actually putting me in the hot seat again today. And we're going to talk about numbers, business clarity, perhaps touch on some of the guests over the past year, issues that we've seen in business, what's been, the problems, how did we resolve them. Anyway, without any further ado, Jenna, welcome.
Thank you. So good to be back. It's been a while, but
it's great. Yes.
Yes, I'm ready to fire my questions away at you, put you back in the hot seat. You've been doing so well with all your guests this year, but now it's your turn to have the questions stand back on you.
I am ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
So I would love to chat a little bit more, about you. Let's imagine that someone is listening for the first time. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what led you to, help so many small business owners and really start this podcast to help educate.
Okay, how far can I go back? Way back.
Give us your 30-second pitch.
Way back in... Oh, okay, because I want
elevator pitch.
I want to start in the 70s when my dad started giving me pocket money, and it was my two sisters. I hope they're probably listening to it, but Jackie, if you're listening, I was the money man, because Dad gave us all 30 cents back then in South Africa was actually a lot of money. And we ran off to, the corner shop weren't too far away. And, my sisters were running off. And I was like, I think I'll take half of this, whack it into some sort of piggy bank, and then start working. So I thought I was a bit of a loose ball with money. But my parents thought, since you were small, you had a bit of understanding of money. And I said, that's the last thing I want to go into my life is managing other people's money.
And look at you now.
Where I am now. That's great. And so that's how it all started. And I just felt I love having, and that's with everything in life that I always like, whenever you go on, later on, I really started loving the outdoors as well. And you think about things, if you got a backpack on your shoulder and you got only a liter in it, and you got to do 30 Ks, you got to be conscious of how much water do you actually need for the trip. If it's going to be hot and you don't know what's going to happen, you might twist an ankle along the way, so you're going to need more water than you actually thought. So I always sort of thought about that kind of, it sounds a bit like I'm bragging, but I always, and that's how I applied it into money, managing money and managing finances. It's always that way. So I never saw myself as an accountant because I thought, what do accountants do? They just do people's tax, and I don't want to sit and just do tax returns. That's not what I'm signed up for. And then I went to go and study business later on in life. I really loved the idea how people can create solutions for problems out there, which I always saw. And my dad bought me this book about the hidden persuaders. I can't remember it, and I just read it like a storybook where people talk about consumer behavior, and I thought, marketing is an interesting subject. So I studied business, and then later on in the 90s got involved with a few other directors. We started a company, and I was the only person with business understanding there or of a formal business education. So I said, okay, well, I'll take over the finances, and that's how I basically got into the business. So I became the financial director or CFO of this business, which actually grew. And we basically grew too fast. It's a good, probably sounds like a good problem to have, but it was very dangerous. And then I realized, wow, we got to be careful how we manage our cash and how we manage our budgets. And that's why I thought I need to go out in the world and almost take this message and spread it, with businesses who struggle with this kind of idea. Because you can have everything. You can have all the clients, you can have the best products, you can have the sales, you can have good margins. But if you don't know how to manage that money and that cash, it will come back to you. And I've seen a lot of businesses as well growing themselves into bankruptcy, which is quite dangerous. And that's why I'm just loving my work, what I'm currently doing, and talking on a microphone to people, sharing success stories, and help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've been helping and working with business owners for over 30 years now. So, like you were just saying, what are
Yeah.
some of the biggest patterns with the ones who thrive and the ones who don't so much?
All right. Well, that's a no-brainer to me, and it's probably a no-brainer for everybody that understand where I'm coming from. If you are not in touch with your numbers, you can basically, sign a death warrant for your business.
So you're saying financial clarity is a game changer.
Financial clarity is absolutely a game changer. You got to understand what's your numbers, what does it cost you, where's your margins lie, why. You got to understand a lot of companies making profit. They got a hell of a profit on a profit and loss, but they've got zero, absolutely less than zero in the bank,
Yes.
And I see that so often. So we need to understand that concept.
Yeah. And you mentioned growing broke. Like what is that?
Well, and that's probably what I come from, and obviously we'll probably mention it later on. I've got this online course as well, which I've started. It's financial clarity for business success, and we'll go about the idea of are you growing or are you scaling your business? So when you think about growing, you're just growing. So you grow in your business, but your revenue grow, but your expenses will probably grow in the same relevance. So if you already got issues with getting money in fast enough, you're going to have even bigger problems. So if you don't have that margin, your margin's only going to get smaller as you grow, and it's eventually going to catch up on you. And I see it with so many people who just grow. If you scale, you revise your business model. You really look at, what do I sell and how do I get that money in, and what sort of process and procedures are there for me to make sure that money comes in at a much faster rate and a much higher rate than your expenses goes out.
And is that across all industries?
You can apply it in any industry. Whether you're washing cars, started the gardening service, you're a tradie, you're selling donuts, you buy a caravan, you got a coffee, you revamp it, and you're a coffee shop in a caravan, or you're a brewery, whatever the case might be. You can apply it in any kind of business. And I've seen people just making money out of thin air because they just changed their business model.
Yeah, well, you've said a lot of industries there, and I guess that's why your guests are so diverse. Shall we talk about the podcast and, all the guests that you've had on this year and, some of your highlights?
Yes, I guess it's been since January now, and for people who might listen to this in a few years' time, we're talking about January 25.
Yes.
Because the podcast is still going to carry on for hopefully a very long time. I had very interesting guests. As you remember, I think we started of the year with two very young entrepreneurial boys, and we sort of talked about the Bucks for Blokes movement then, and they were great. And we looked at ways that I took their ideas and they use it in their business to grow, and how to grow, and really the importance of being connected to your customers. We had Matthew and Ben Feltus in the studio, Matthew Kaslow and Ben Feltus. They were great. We spoke about things that they perhaps, there's a lot of business out there that does this, the same kind of business, but they do stuff differently and look at it from another point of view, whether it's AI systems they're using or perhaps just different method of buying their capital and refinancing the capital. There's so many different nuances in business which they can use.
Yeah, that was a really good episode. Probably one of my favorites for the year. Can we expect the return of Bucks for Blokes?
We can.
Ooh.
It is a great, I'm putting the feelers out there as we talk as well. There is a sort of a bit of a movement around. I've spoken to a lot of blokes already out there, and they say yes, they want to get involved. It sounds like a nice. And next week in the studio, or the next podcast, we will have 3 bucks in, and we're going to talk, three blokes in, and we're going to talk about bucks
Wow,
and
something
running
to
your
look
own
forward to.
business. And yeah, ladies, I know there's been a lot of ladies on the podcast as well, and they're a great addition to the show. It's nothing about bucks and goals, as you say. I just think it's interesting because if you're the bloke kind of
Well, it's almost tailored to a different
yes,
demographic and industry as well, because a lot of the blokes that you've been speaking to do
Yeah.
come from like the tradie background or even IT.
yeah.
So
Well, we got different
different
things.
interests. Yeah.
Interests
That's
we look
okay.
at, and the boys need to talk to each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of men's groups out there, and I've been part of some as well. It's great, but I think it's when you're running your own business, sometimes and what I say, it is lonely at the top sometimes because
Yes.
not that I'm saying you are above everybody else, but you are running the business and you probably pay a few people, you got contractors, but you can't go and sit sometimes in the pub and discuss your issues that you got with staff issues amongst your mates. They're good mates,
Yeah.
but we want to talk about cars and bikes and fishing and
Yeah, you want
yeah,
people who
footy
can
and that kind of stuff.
relate to you, but
Yeah.
on a business sense.
And in a business sense, I think this Bucks for Blokes really got to look outstanding. So expect a lot, and we might even make a bit of an announcement next time. I'm probably talking too soon. Perhaps I want to keep the card a little bit closer to my chest. But yeah.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah.
How about any of your other amazing guests? You want
Well,
throw some
talk
shout-outs?
about the girls. I had Ana Maria Muniz in the studio. Ana Maria she is one of my fellow mentors on the mentorship panel at the Polaris Business Group, and we talked about retailing, and she's really going in there helping people, change their design, perhaps in the shop front, and having a different kind of attitude toward customers as well. She was, we had some good talks in the studio as well. And, it paid off. A lot of people listened to that podcast. And I know actually some of the listeners actually contacted her through me or through the Polaris Center.
Wow.
And, got Ana Maria to come in there and change a few things. And, I followed up with Ana Maria and with the clients itself, and they're very happy with
Wow.
what she'd offer. Yes, that was great. And then another mate of mine, mate sort of, he's my favorite barista in the Barossa, is Luke Underdown. I nearly said Underworld, Underdown. And Luke, he is actually going to be on the podcast next week as well. Next time.
He was very knowledgeable, actually.
Yeah, he runs the coffee shop Beans and Creams in the Barossa. And
It would be a good one to get back on.
yeah.
Like, I feel like that episode was not long enough.
It wasn't.
It was more to talk about.
No, we'll get him back. We'll get him back on the soapbox next time, and he's going to talk about his knowledge and now because he's a young entrepreneur. Him and his wife actually running this the shop, and they bought it over. He didn't have a cent on his name when he decided, I want to buy this. I want to have this shop, and somehow he managed to get it.
Yeah, he had a vision, had a dream.
He had a vision.
Worked hard to achieve it.
If you work hard, if you got that mission, you follow through, you can get it. And that's why I like being on this podcast and tell people out there. It's all about I get people on here that inspire other people, and it's great. I mean, I get inspired. I still get inspired. I just can't hold back my enthusiasm sitting with somebody and they're talking to me about their business ideas and
I guess that's why we're coming up like year and a half of the podcast.
Yes.
And no end in sight.
No end in sight. Yeah, if whatever, we got to keep it going. I think it's important. I know there's a lot of other podcasts out there, but it's business ideas and it's numbers. I reckon those two are a pretty good gel together.
Yeah, and
What do you
something
reckon?
else was inspired by the podcast, really. Can we talk about it now? Your course?
Oh yes, that's right. What I realized, and I've probably realized it probably like I mentioned 30 years ago when I was doing that part of running the financing company, is you need that financial clarity in business. So I've started this online course, Business Finance for Financial Clarity for Business Success, which is then an online course. Every day we're going to do about a 10-minute snipping. You're going to look at my beautiful face on on video. It's actually just a face for radio, but it's all right. We're doing a little bit of photoshopping there.
Oh, no, it's all him.
And then I'll explain stuff like really understand your financials, but I'm not trying to make people accountants. People it's a finance bro. I don't need I've got an accountant. That's bullshit. You got an accountant. It's going to help you doing your tax and that kind of things. But we need to understand really, you need to understand your numbers. Don't expect your accountant to explain to you your numbers the whole time. You need to understand. So I don't want to make people accountants. I just want them to help them, because we're all CEOs in a business.
Yes, that's true.
If you got your own business, whatever you call yourself, you are the chief. You are the master of that business. And the captain of the business, which Rory once mentioned. I want you to be the best CEO that you can possibly be and have that clarity in your business, understanding how the financials work, how they interact with each other, how the cash flow works, how your budgets work. And I actually want to say it a lot more times, how your budget work. And, we have to plan and measure that and understand your key performance indicators and your capital expenditure. Where can you increase your business and your automation, your business for look for better efficiencies. And that's what inspired me as well. When I spoke to people, I thought, this is perhaps a perfect platform to segue it from this business. Yeah. And I've got another course starting at the end of June. Yes.
Oh, amazing. So financial clarity for business success. Like, who is this designed for?
It's designed for small business owners. I've got a lot of people that's actually shown a little bit of interest who hasn't really started a business yet. Great. It's great. It fits everybody's pocket, really. If you're in business for 2 or 3 years, perhaps even sometimes longer, and you just want to go back and get it refreshing, how does it all? It's perfect for. But I'll probably say small business, anything from startup up to perhaps 5-6 million turnover is probably ideal. And during the course, I use a company that's they're manufacturing shoes. You're always joking that I always use shoes companies. They are manufacturing outdoor shoes. So it's a little bit based on manufacturing, but you can also apply that in a lot of service-based businesses or tradie-based businesses or normal consulting-based businesses.
So it's really laying the foundation for anyone.
It's foundation, but it also takes you above and beyond. And then the course is actually over 8 weeks. The first 6 weeks is you do a module every week, and the last 2 weeks we'll go in and really work hard on your blueprint business, which is basically your business plan on steroids. It's something that you can take away. And every week we're having a catch up online as well.
Okay, so it's not really just about learning; it's also about doing as well.
Yes, it's about doing. A lot of the templates there is explaining you this model business which I've started, but also the templates are available to apply it into your own business. So I think it's been great. I've got a lot of people that's interesting in there as well. And talking about startups. One of the persons I had on my podcast was Maddie Reed.
Yes.
And Rebecca Sherman, who's her mentor. And Maddie started this business, Pause and More.
Yeah. The dog treats.
The dog treats.
That was an amazing episode. Yes, my dog. I got some treats for my dog Stella, and she loved them, demolished them.
Yeah. That's great. Now, for instance, that's a small business. She started up. She's probably been a year into the business as well. And she explained to me having that understanding of your numbers. I mean, she's very good at digital marketing, and she's all Instagram and all the things. But having bring that financial clarity into your business, it just opens a lot more doors.
Yeah, and I think that probably especially for younger entrepreneurs, they have this passion, they have this drive, and they're actually willing to put in the work to produce the product. Like, she has an amazing product, but if she doesn't learn the business side of it, she can't continue, she can't pay her bills. So it is about that marrying the business side, which not everyone wants to. Everyone wants to do the fun part, but I guess that's where you come in.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't want to see myself as this savior of your business, but you can probably look at me from a Sherpa point of view. If you were trying to scale Everest, you probably need a bit of a Sherpa. I mean, at the end of the day, the credit's going to, we're going to get to the top together, but
Yeah.
you're going to get a credit, you know. But
Oh, I like
I'm
that.
happy to be there and guide you along the way, and perhaps you can pick up the phone. You can say, hey, Johan, I'm struggling with my margin here. What can we do to increase that margin? Or my cash flow is just not gelling. What can we do about it? And I'm happy to sit with my clients. So I'm sort of, well, by trade, as you know, I'm an accountant. I'm a cost accountant. Also, I got a good understanding of business economics, but I see myself as a not as a business coach in the sense of the word coaching, but a business finance coach, almost like somebody is going to be there helping, and a bit of a hybrid between a coach and a mentor as well. Perhaps I've been a lot of places before where I see other people's moving into, and I say, well, I probably don't want to tell you to do it, but if I were in your shoes, I might look at it from this point of view.
So more
Yeah.
like guiding them. rather
Guide,
than-
yes,
Yeah.
and that's what we lack perhaps in a lot of small businesses, having that, because we don't know who to speak to. You know?
Yes.
There's,
Well, it's difficult because you might
yeah.
want to speak to friends and family,
Mm.
but not often they're not in the same position as you. They're not running businesses. So it's good to have kind of a guide or what is it,
Yeah.
a Sherpa?
A Sherpa, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the word Sherpa. It sounds. I don't want to take the word Sherpa from the Sherpas, because they're doing great work. A lot of people call themselves gurus as well.
Okay.
But I know the gurus are great. They're gurus. The Sherpas are Sherpas. I see myself as a business finance guide. Yeah, that's what I. But you can associate with some sort of Sherpa, and that's what Dave said. I remember, if you remember our program with Dave Brown.
yes.
He was in with Natalie Michel's and Dr. Z, or Scott
Yes.
Sarkinas. And Dave mentioned in that podcast we had, he said, go and talk to your mates, but go and sit in a pub, have a few beers, talk about footy or the latest four-wheel drive that you might think of buying. But, when it comes to business, go and look for the right people to talk to when in business. Your mate's just gonna tell you, no, mate, no, that's not gonna work.
Yes.
Mates are great. I love mates, but it's when it comes to business, make sure that you talk to the right people and somebody you can trust, and somebody who's probably been there before as well. And not necessarily somebody that's been, person doesn't have to be a billionaire to give you good advice. Person preferably had to make a few mistakes in their life to say, well,
Yes.
I've done that, but hey,
Learn from them.
learn from you don't learn from your own, learn from my mistakes. You don't have to learn from your own
Yes.
mistakes. You have to learn from mine.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of the Sharkman episode.
Oh, Mark Tozer.
Yes.
Yeah, what a man.
What a man. What
Well,
can't he do?
Yeah, no, Mark, I don't know where he's now. I think he is, he's been in America. Where were you, Mark? I can't just get him on the phone and ask what he's been doing. But Mark's been, he started a business, the furniture business, Marlin Furniture, and he talked about how he grew it up, and he bought his suppliers out, or he started manufacturing the stuff, and then he bought. So he's actually supplying to his competitors as well. And Mark has got his attitude, which he said, it's just we're all in here together. There's the cake is big enough for everybody to be a slice. You don't have to be some sort of prick
Yeah.
to take everybody else
I
around you out of
agree.
business.
I agree.
So he's got a very good attitude, and he's now very involved with conservation, specifically, when it comes to do with ocean conservation and in sharks. And his passion in life is his hobby, and he's involved with the Rodney Fox cage touring group as well. I think he's a major shareholder there. So he's taking it from having his dream, and he grew up. I think he was on the street when he was 14 years old or something, and then he said the only thing that he actually wanted to do, he wanted to make sure that he gets a job where he can keep the lights on in his business, because he struggled a bit with as a kid as well. Yeah. And that was his only ambition, and and then instead of renting places, he started buying property.
Yes.
And perhaps he caught it the wave at the right time to ride a wave. But that's fine. That's
Ah,
kudos to him. He's
yeah.
done it. So that was an amazing episode as well to see what Mark's gone through, and gone to.
Well, I would love to kind of dip a little bit into the modules of your course and how they kind of, you're pulling all of these experiences and all your knowledge and really how can you put them all into 8 modules, but 8 weeks of
Well,
lessons.
yes, it is. It is difficult. I mean, it's what I'm trying to get out there in the market or out there to the people who's subscribing to my course. Like I said, not trying to make them accountants, and I don't want to give them stuff that's in a textbook. Obviously, a lot of the stuff is stuff that are in textbooks. Like if you want to do a profit and loss, you're gonna do. This is the margin. So it's all, but it's more everything that I've learned and seen, and probably it's a bit of a mixture of what I've learned in uni, what I've read in books, what I've seen business done, what I've done myself, mistakes I made, and successes I had in business. So trying to get them all together, compact it into 6 modules, then bring it out to, talk to the people about it. Obviously, everything is to do with numbers. So the first one, as I said, okay, that's probably the textbook stuff, is understand your finance. You've got to understand what is a profit and loss. What is a balance sheet? What is a cash flow? How do they interact with each other? And I always say we probably as business owners don't give enough attention to the balance sheet and a cash flow sheet, because it's all right. As long as it's in a profit and loss, we'll have a look there. And then at the end of the day, there's no money in the bank because we never looked at our cash flow, or we don't understand why is our return on investment not perform, because there is no, our balance sheet looks like a dog's breakfast. We don't know what to compare the return to.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say is, if I go and sit with a client, the client's just going to give me one number. And that's probably why I thought about it the other day. Must have been a reason why I called myself the number man and not
Yes.
your numbers man.
Yeah.
Because I only need one number. Just give me what is your return on, what do you want from your business? And we
Wow.
can probably draw a whole business plan from just one number.
Really?
Or what is your margin? We'll draw a whole business plan from that margin. Or just give me what is your income that you want to get out of your for each employee. What kind of income do you want to? So sometimes it sounds a bit like a Monty Python thing. I think
Yeah, sounds like a magic trick. I'm like, oh my God, let's do it right now.
Because I said,
I'll
what
give
is the
you a
magic
number.
number? Or was it the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 42
Yeah.
or something? But sometimes it's just about one number, one thing. Just focus on that one thing. Is it your margin? Is it your return on investment? Is it 1%? And that is what it's about, to find that magic number and then go through it. So obviously the beginning, so it's about understanding your financials, and then your costing and your pricing. How are you going to price your products? You've got to understand your costing. But do I price my products because I just want to make a profit? Or do I price my product because I know that is that is the value that I give in the market? And there's a big change now going on, is make sure that, because we as business owners, we are in business because we are solving problems.
Yes.
We're not just supplying because we think there's a gap in the market. That gap in the market is because there's a problem that has not been solved. So we want to go and solve a problem. What is that problem worth to you? That to solve that problem for me, I've got this urge to eat the best donut that I've ever eaten in my life. That is my problem, and I happen to be in a Barossa, so I'm going to go to Barossa, Brown's Barossa gourmet donuts from Dave.
Oh yes, and they really are that good.
So that's the problem we solved, and it's perhaps something a bit more perhaps a bit more underlying. You got a problem because you want a certain way that people's got to look at how the electronics in your house works, and make sure the switches are all safe and correct. So you're gonna go and have a chat with Ben Felters, the electrician. That's what we aim for. What is that worth to you? It's not. Again, I'm blabbering on too much about the costing and the price, but if you understand what I'm saying, so you got to understand what you're costing, make sure that you make a profit, but then also review your pricing. It's almost going in from finance into a little bit more into the marketing or the consumer behavior side of it, because who was it? I think this guy, his name is Rory Sutherland. Now, everybody else listening to this podcast, go and give him a listen. He's a clever marketing guy. We're about the same age, but he's double my size. I think he's he's a bit of a he looks like he's
He's large and in charge.
he's large and in charge, and he can talk probably underwater with a mouth full of marbles. But he's pretty good and really talking about why, because he said economists see price as a number, consumers see price as value. So we got a price to deliver the value to the consumers. That's what we aim for. So that's basically the segue that I'm using. But it's all come back to numbers. Make sure you get your margin, you get your numbers, understand your costing, but review your pricing or look at it from a different perspective, which is also important. And then obviously I talk about, we don't have to go through the whole thing now here. Mm. Now I'm the guy who's talking underwater with a mouthful of marbles because I'm excited about it. We talked about goals, budgeting, forecasting. Why it's so important. And I always say the budget is you turn your dreams turns into goals, your goals into targets, and targets into plans. But it all starts with dream. I always say dreaming doesn't cost you anything, but not having a dream can cost you everything. So you got a dream and then get a goal, get a target. And I always and then something I discussed through the modules is we got to use the smart way of budgeting, which
smart.
Smart, yeah.
What does that mean?
So your goals got to be smart. The S the goals got to be specific. M, you got to measure your goals, and the A is you've got to be actionable. You got to be able to make sure that get actions in place to reach that goals. The R is it's got to be relevant to your values and to your mission and to your vision of your business. And at timely, you got to make sure that it is in a specific timeline as well. Because if you want to increase your price, don't start off the year say, okay, all my price is going up. Smooth into it, baby steps. So make sure that your timing is right as well. So that's what I'm talking about, the budgeting part of it as well. And
now that you're talking about smart,
yes,
what could an overwhelmed or unsure business owner really do to start their journey? Like, what would be the one thing that they could do today to kind of help improve their financial clarity?
Well, you got to make sure that you got your vision in place. You got to understand where, what is your end vision in your business. They say you got to start your business with an end in time. End in sight, yes. Now, if you start your business, it doesn't matter what time, today's the first day for the rest of your life. So today's the first day for the rest of your business. So where do you want to be in a year's time, 2 years' time? And really, get that number, get that magic number that I spoke to about previously. Go and sit in I don't know, some people's got different ideas. Some people like to go and sit under a tree and write something in the sand. Some people like to go and sit in a coffee shop and write something on a serviette or a napkin. Get that, work out what is your plan, get that number. Is it your return on investment? Is it your margin? Is it your people? What are you good at? What are you deliver? Really understand what is your niche market, perhaps moving into the marketing sphere as well. It's by create an avatar for your customer. This is my customer. My customer, his name is Bob, and Bob is 45 years old. Bob's got a business perhaps in, between 2 million and 5 million turnover. This is Bob's customer. So understand where is your customer. Give your customer name really and get that niche. We always say to get rich, go for niche. So understand your niche market as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can really segue your price. Did I answer your question?
Definitely. Yes. Well, what would be the one thing that business owners can do, and it's really getting clear on their vision. What's that one number? And,
yes,
figuring it out from now.
So and make sure and then obviously you'll understand, where's your costings, where's your costing going wrong. And something that I mentioned in the budget is perhaps even if you look at your overhead expenditure, which is stuff like the stuff that we really can't control that easily as your direct expenditure because it's not related to the amount of sales that you do. Go over that. Perhaps go over your subscriptions. Perhaps you find $10 a month here on your business that you're paying for Netflix that goes off your business account. Perhaps somebody has used a different account code to put it through, so it's gone through the business. Okay, well, you've saved $10 a month. You saved $120 a year
Yep.
from it. That's fine. So okay, but are we penny wise, pound foolish? Yes, it might seem like we're penny wise, pound foolish, but start celebrating your small little successes. So imagine if you look at each line item, decide this week we are going to focus on utility usage in the company. We know perhaps our electricity and gas or water or whatever is $25,000 a year. Can we bring it down to $22,000 a year? And say, I don't know, it's bloody hard,
Yeah.
But perhaps there is ways, and I've seen it. I've done it myself, and I've seen a lot of companies. If you really focus on something, try and bring that cost down. And it's not that we want to be control freaks in business. Tell people, no,
Yeah, don't
people,
spend anything.
you go and do your toilet business at home because if you do it at office, you're going to use more toilet paper. We don't want to be like that.
Yes.
But sometimes you got to think about efficiencies and really focus, and that's going to increase. And there's a thing that I can't really show it now because we're just doing a podcast, but I think I've done actually a YouTube video on it. Is small little tweaks in your budget to grow your margin by 1% will triple your net profit.
Wow.
That is.
We'll link that down below so people can have a look at that YouTube.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Well, on the topic of that, what would you say success with clarity really looks like to you?
Clarity is, well, I don't know. Just think about clarity is something, you just see it from a different point of view. It's almost like I don't know, a long time ago when you were probably still a baby, there was a movie, The Dead Poet Society.
Oh, yes.
Robin Williams.
Yep.
And I always liked that scene at the end where everybody in the classroom stood on their tables, and I looked at what this teacher who played Robin Williams was his teacher, and he told the people, you got to be able to see it from a different point of view. And at the end of the day, he then got expelled because he put nonsense. People thought he was putting nonsense in the boys' heads or something.
Right.
But in the end, they all stood on their desks and I say, "Captain, my captain." And that's the concept. To stand, look at everybody sitting in the classroom. You always sit in your desk. Go and stand on your desk and look the other way. Look at the door, and you'll see different ways. Clarity is going to open the path. You're going to see opportunities. You're going to see obstacles. Because we do it too much in business. You keep on driving and you keep on wondering why you're bumping into trees because we're always looking out of the back door window. And that's exactly how it works. And people are looking at their past financials. Oh, geez. Oh, how are we going to change our tax? They keep on looking at their history.
Yeah.
You got to look at the future.
Yep.
Look at the trends. Look at more. And if people didn't look at the guys who started Uber, didn't look into the future, Airbnb, Netflix, Steve Jobs from Apple, just different ways. All these people came with these ideas and people said, hey, you're totally crazy. This will never work.
And then it did.
It all worked,
Yeah.
Richard Branson, Virgin, they say, if you want to be the best CEO, you got to go out there and break the rules.
Yeah.
Make your own rules, perhaps, but don't break the rule by looking at your numbers. That's important. And understand how the numbers are going to gel at the end. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like there's so much insight from this one episode, but if listeners could take just one message away from this episode, what would that be?
That would be that you are...
You are the captain?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps I'm getting emotional again or whatever, but, you are the captain of your business. You are the captain of your soul. Yeah. That you can change what's around you by having an attitude. And again, that came up a lot with mindset as well, which we had a big discussion on when we had the 3 guests in here, Dr. Zed, Natalie, and Dave. Talked about mindset, really go and understand what you like and, pursuing that purpose and find your truth, perhaps.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because it starts with that, your truth, your why, then you find the number that relates to that,
Yeah.
and that's your starting point.
It all links
And
in.
I love
yeah.
how you said, like, today is the first day of the rest of your life,
Yeah.
or the first day of the rest of your business. Forget about what's happened in the past. Like,
Yeah.
where is it everything that you stand now? Because sometimes what you want now is different from what you wanted yesterday or a year ago. Like, it's good to keep pivoting and developing and changing.
Yeah, but when I came to, I originally came to Australia because I thought I want to live in a country that's big enough where I can have a working holiday for the rest of my life. It's not.
And how did that turn out for you?
I'm still working. Still, but anyway, everything changes in life. There is, stuff happens in life, and that's just, we said it. John Lennon.
Life is what happens when you're busy making plans.
Busy making other plans.
Yes.
So we're always busy making other plans, but it's fine. Just get at it. And that's the thing about a purpose. A purpose is not to say, okay, I will be something specific, but this is the feeling perhaps. This is the kind of, you want to envisage how your success will look like in the future. But perhaps that feeling or that understanding of accomplishment that you want in the future. But there's no end. I mean, not that I say, okay, in 2 years' time I want to be this, or in 30 years' time, if I'm still lucky and happy and blessed,
yes,
we still want to be doing a contribution to who's out there. And I think my contribution and my purpose is to help small business owners to really find their purpose through the numbers.
Oh, well, that's why you are your number man.
I am your number man.
You'll help them find that one number and then take them from point A to point B. Well, I would love to keep chatting. I feel like this episode has so many good tidbits, but I might wrap you up for
We'll
today.
have to wrap up.
Yes, but where can people find your course? When is the next intake? Tell us all about it.
Okay, next intake is the 26th of June, and there will be on the notes, so you can click
on the show notes,
you can
guys.
click on that show notes. You're gonna get directed to the landing page, and you put in your detail and they ask for a promo code. And you can use we talked about SMART, so use the promo code SMART, all in capital letters, SMART, SMART. And then you'll get a 25% discount on the course as well. But it will be great. And subscribe to the show as well. That'd be fantastic.
Well,
to this show,
yes,
to your number man, wherever you listen to it, on YouTube, Spotify.
Yeah.
Just subscribe.
And the course is yours for life. So once you have it, it's always there and it will continue to get updated.
That's right. We'll continue working on it, upgrading it. Every week there is a group meeting with the current people on the course. But if you feel that you want to be part of that meeting, come and be part of that meeting. And you might even inspire some people. You say, okay, I've done this course like 6 months ago, and this is how it changed. And I've looked at my numbers from a different point of view, and I've really found that number to segue into my idea of success and clarity. So, answer your question, all on the show notes. Or otherwise, it's on the website, or you can phone me, or you can email me. I think it's all on the show notes.
Yes. We can put it all down there, and if you have any questions, I can just reach out to you.
www. Probably easy to say World Wide Web, isn't it? .numberman.com.au.
Oh, beautiful. Well, it was so lovely being back in the studio with you, Johan.
Oh, it's great. Great to have you back, because you've increased the population a little bit while you were gone, didn't you? You've got a little...
Yes, I had a little time away.
A little bit of time away.
I had a little baby.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, very lucky.
You had your Egyptian flu.
Yes, I was a mummy. Yes, and soon little Nicola, he'll be here helping out and helping produce.
I see. He's gonna do the buttons later on when I'm sitting here.
He's gonna press record and give you the clapping.
Yeah, and I'll buy him a few Sudoku little books, and he can sit in the corner and do his Sudokus.
Well, let's hope so. If not, maybe he'll be the one interviewing you next time.
That would be fantastic. Yeah. That's always perhaps something we can do in the future, is starting a course for young entrepreneurs, perhaps.
Yes, I think that's be really valuable.
And anybody else there, go out there and start it tomorrow. I know you've taken my idea, but it's fine. I'll still feel flattered if you take my idea and run it. That is it. Perhaps just we'll have a quick mention of the sponsor, which is the Polaris Business Center. And thanks a lot for a little bit of financial support for me. People who's interested can go to the Polaris at Mawson Lakes, and they can help you with the business fundamental course. They've got mentorship programs as well, and I'm proud to say I'm also on their mentorship panels. So if you need a mentor specifically in terms of your numbers, you can ask for me, and they'll happy to direct you into my direction as well. So that's it, Jenna, and thanks you for sitting that side of the and asking, putting me in the hot seat.
Yes.
And I hope I've done all right and answered a few of the questions here.
I'm sure I'll be back soon to put you back in the hot seat again. But for now, thank you.
That would be great. All right, everybody. Jenna, thanks a lot. This is me, Johan Zanik. I'm signing off as your number man. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.